Hey up everyone, and greetings from my little hotel room in Berlin. I'm going to be continuing my Cannes Film Festival coverage today for you, and I'm going to be talking about the movie which was easily the most buzziest, the most universally loved, and yes, the most award season friendly contender that we got out of the entire Cannes Film Festival lineup in 2025. It's of course Joachim Trier's Sentimental Value, which is his highly anticipated follow-up to his near-perfect The Worst Person in the World. If you guys are familiar with my channel, then you'll know that I adore The Worst Person in the World. It was my favorite film of 2021, and I would say it's one of the best films that we've had in this decade so far. So yeah, a lot of pressure to follow this film up, but Joachim Trier has teamed up again with his Worst Person in the World co-writer Eskil Vogt to write the screenplay, and he's also teamed up again with his Worst Person leading lady, Renate Reinsve, who was the breakout star of that film, and I strongly believe that she was egregiously snubbed for an Oscar nomination for that performance as Julie in Worst Person, one of the best performances of that year, but I digress. But yeah, he's got the band back together, so to speak, but was he going to be able to recreate the same results with the same team? Well, given all the pandemonium that's come out of the Cannes Film Festival surrounding this film, including a rapturous response after its premiere, I believe it was like a 19-minute standing ovation for this film, I'm very happy to reaffirm and to jump on the bandwagon and tell you that Sentimental Value is another slam dunk for Joachim Trier. Again, in many ways, Sentimental Value feels like a companion piece to Worst Person in the World, where Worst Person was a thoughtful examination of millennials in crisis. Sentimental Value is more of a delicate and tender look at a fractured family trying to piece itself back together after a tragic loss. The film follows two sisters, Nora and Agnes, who are played by Renate Reinsve, and apologies if I mispronounce it, Inga Ibsdotter Lilleaas, and they are the daughters of a renowned filmmaker called Gustav Borg, who's played in this film by Stellan Skarsgård. Renate Reinsve plays Nora. She is an actress of the stage and screen, and Inga plays Agnes, who was once a child star in one of her father's most acclaimed films, but since then she's gone on to become a historical academic. She also has a husband, and she has a 9-year-old son called Eric, so she's a little bit more stable than her sister Nora, who is sleeping with a married man and is prone to anxiety attacks before she's supposed to go on stage. Like, the film opens with a very funny beginning where she's just trying to work up the confidence and the nerve to go on stage, you know, for a big crowd, and it's really funny. As I mentioned, their father, Gustav Borg, played by Stellan Skarsgård, is a renowned filmmaker. He's quite estranged from his daughters. He was absent for a lot of their childhood, but he comes back into their lives when his ex-wife, or the daughter's mother, passes away, and he makes a pitch to Nora for her to star in his latest film that he's wrote. It's sort of his comeback film because he hasn't made one in 20 years or so, and the story of the film that he's written is semi-autobiographical because it's kind of about his mother who committed suicide when Gustav was a young boy in the very house that the girls have grown up in, and he wants to shoot it in that house for authenticity. And this house is a primary location in this film, or this film within this film. But Nora turns down the part, so Gustav hires a popular up-and-coming American ingenue actress called Rachel Kemp, who's played by Elle Fanning, to play the role that Nora turned down. And that's pretty much all the plot that you need to know. Sentimental Value is without a doubt the best film that I saw in competition at the Cannes Film Festival this year. Sadly, this is the first year where I've been to Cannes and I actually didn't get to watch the Palme d'Or winner. Sadly, I just didn't get a chance to see the film that won, which was It Was Just an Accident. So yeah, I will be seeking that out. I will be watching it at some point. Amazingly though, both It Was Just an Accident and Sentimental Value were both being distributed by Neon, so this continues the Neon Palme d'Or winning streak for 6 years in a row. Isn't that wild? But I will say, as someone that was there in Cannes, that Sentimental Value made a lot more noise than It Was Just an Accident. Like, this film definitely felt like the people's pick for the Palme d'Or this year, but the jury and Juliette Binoche decided to go a different direction. But Sentimental Value still won a significant prize. It got the Grand Prix prize, which is essentially the runner-up prize. But I am anticipating that Sentimental Value will be a much, much, much bigger award season player than It Was Just an Accident when it comes to the Oscars next year, but we can talk about its Oscars chances later in the vid. The thing about Sentimental Value is that it's not a particularly flashy film. It's actually quite a restrained family drama where the patriarch, Stellan Skarsgård's character, is trying to patch the cracks between him and his daughters through the only way that he knows how, which is through art, through making movies. You can see through the very intimate details in Gustav's screenplay that he's channeled a lot of his own personal pain and experience into this screenplay, but there's generational layers to the subtext of the screenplay, because at times it's ambiguous as to whether the story is about Gustav, his mother, or his daughters, okay? It works on many levels. He's using this movie as a way to help him heal his family, as well as help him heal himself. It's a sort of therapy of sorts, which art often is. But Sentimental Value is also a film about communication between family members, and sometimes the lack thereof. What's wonderful about Joachim Trier and Eskil Vogt's screenplay is how it allows the actors to express so much, sometimes without a whole lot of dialogue. And all the actors deliver such great performances because of it. Gustav is absolutely useless when it comes to being vulnerable with his daughters, which is why he has to communicate through art. But his daughter Nora is just as lousy at communicating her true feelings to her father, but the actors in this are so good at expressing their true feelings through other methods other than dialogue, whether it's their body language, their eye contact or lack thereof, or the spaces in between the dialogue, okay? There's so many shots in this which is just the actors listening and reacting, and the actors get to nuance so many complex emotional themes into these performances. It's really tremendous acting from everybody in this. And I love that Trier isn't afraid to let a scene breathe, okay? He's not afraid to let us sit in the awkward silences. And what's great about this film is that it doesn't wrap things up like it's a movie, even though the movie is sort of a little bit meta by the end of it. But yeah, and the thing about life is, you know, not everything is wrapped up in a neat little bow by the end of it, okay? Not everything is resolved, not everything is, you know, spoken, but, you know, we try to move forward. We try to find ways that we can move forward. Very much true to life. We're still a work in progress, and yeah, it's just a very satisfying ending. Shall we talk about its award season chances? Trust me, guys, this film is going to be a huge player when it comes to the Oscars next year, okay? We could be looking at potentially double-digit nominations. It probably won't happen, but we could see it happen. There's two things that we know that the Academy loves. Firstly, movies that are about making movies, and secondly, movies that are about family dramas, and Sentimental Value meets in the intersection of both those two things. And because it really sticks the landing, I think it is a lock for Best Picture already, and it could even be a contender to win. It's going to speak to the Academy because the film is about the reconciling power of the arts, okay? It's about their industry, and it's also commentating on the industry and how it's evolving and changing. But it's also a genuinely touching story of a family trying to mend itself and move forward. And it just finds that perfect crowd-pleasing sweet spot where it is sentimental, but it's not saccharine, okay? And it's funny, but it's also devastatingly sad in places as well. So yeah, it's getting into Best Picture, and I think Joachim Trier is definitely going to get into Best Director as well. It's become something of a trend in recent years to see the favourites from the Cannes Film Festival get into Best Director. Sometimes it's one, sometimes it's two, but usually it's an international filmmaker from Cannes that ends up being in our five for Best Director. So just last year we had Coralie Farjar and Jacques Audiard alongside Sean Baker, who's also at Cannes in Best Director, but we've also had Thomas Vinterberg, Paweł Halachowski, Bong Joon-ho, Justine Trier, Ruben Östlund, Ryosuke Hamaguchi, just to name a few. But yeah, I expect Sentimental Value to be a player in the above-the-line categories. Best Original Screenplay for sure, Best Editing, and definitely some acting nominations. The one that I feel the most confident is going to happen is Stellan Skarsgård for Best Supporting Actor. He has been in the business for decades, and the man has not had a single Oscar nomination, but this feels like the perfect career surmising role for him to finally get his first ever Best Supporting Actor nomination, okay? He has been doing the work, and he is so deserving for this performance. I actually think, you know, if the wind is blowing in the right direction, he could even go all the way and win, because he has been so overlooked for so long, but he's been in so many amazing projects, and maybe it could be his time. But yeah, I would say Stellan Skarsgård is currently my favorite to win Best Supporting Actor, but it's still very, very early in the race, but we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I think he's definitely getting into Best Supporting Actor, and I'm very excited for him to get his first ever Oscar nomination. And as for the other performances, Renate Reinsve was egregiously snubbed for The Worst Person in the World. If I had it my way, she would have been my pick to win Best Actress that year, but it went to Jessica Chastain, the Azatemi Faye. But yeah, I think because she was snubbed and because of the success of this film at Cannes, I feel like, yes, this will probably be enough to get into the Best Actress 5, hopefully. And then there's the two other female supporting players. Elle Fanning is so freaking good in this. She could be looking at her first Oscar nomination too, I think. She brings so much weight to such a light supporting role. She gets to show off her versatility because she gets this one emotional scene with an actual monologue that she's reciting, but she also gets to show off her comedic chops in this as well. Like, there's a scene that comes later in the film where she's trying to workshop the character that she's playing, and she thinks it'd be best if she does it in a Scandinavian accent, you know, to be more authentic to Gustav's mother. And she's delivering it with absolute sincerity, but despite her best efforts, it still comes off as contrived, and it is just so funny. Elle Fanning was on the peripheries of getting an Oscar nomination last year for A Complete Unknown, but she got bumped for her co-star Monica Barbaro from that film. But there is a chance maybe something similar could happen again this year, because she's also kind of competing with her fellow co-star in Sentimental Value. Let me say it again, Inga Ibsdotter Lilleaas. She was wonderful in this film. I've never seen her in anything before. This is my first time being exposed to her work, but she, even though she's not as established as the other actors in this film, she completely holds her own, okay? She was magnificent. And in an ideal world, I would love to see both Inga and Elle get into Best Supporting Actress, because they are both so deserving here. The whole cast is so strong, and I'm actually expecting Sentimental Value to get into the new category of the Oscars this year, Best Casting. And the other category that it'll definitely show up for, and might even be the front runner for, is Best International Feature. Are there any others it might potentially show up for? No, not really. Like, because this is a modern set film, I'm not really expecting it to show up in the text or the crafts. Like, typically those nominations are dished out to the films that are period dramas or period films. I guess some people might make the argument that it could show up for production design, because the house, the Borg house, where a lot of the film is set, is really well designed, and the house is a character in itself. But again, just because it's modern day set, it doesn't really scream, you know, grand, imposing production design. It just looks like a very natural looking house, even though it does have a lot of character to it. So yeah, I don't anticipate it to show up in production design, but you know, crazier things have happened. But yeah, if Sentimental Value does manage to get 4 acting nominations, then we could potentially be looking at, you know, a 10 nominations bundle, but I'm not expecting it to happen. I'm more expecting it to get somewhere around 7 or 8 Oscar nominations. But what do you guys think? How many Oscar nominations is Sentimental Value going to get, and in what categories? What do you have to say? Let me know in the comment section down below. Do I have any negatives for this film? Not really, but I will say there are times where the screenplay does get a little bit too specific with its cinephile references. Like, the jokes about the movie industry, I think most people will get them. Like, I feel like the jabs at, like, Netflix and how it distributes its movies, that's gonna, like, make most people laugh. But then there's other more niche things, like there's a scene where Gustav gives his grandson a birthday gift of some DVDs, and one of them is Irreversible and the other one is The Piano Teacher. And unless, like, you've seen those films, then yeah, you're not gonna get the joke. So yeah, I feel like sometimes it's a little too cinephile for its own good, that it kind of loses its accessibility in places, but still, I appreciate it. And for me personally, I do think I still prefer The Worst Person in the World a little bit more, just because I found that film just to be so profoundly impactful when I first watched it. Maybe because it was, you know, a film very much about millennial ennui, which is something I could really resonate with. And while I will say the themes in Sentimental Value are more universal, I would say, across the board, yeah, I just found myself more blown away by The Worst Person in the World than I was Sentimental Value. But that's not to diminish how great Sentimental Value is. It's still a really solid, really strong movie, and I really did love it. All right then, shall we ask them 3 questions? Firstly, would I watch it again? Absolutely, 100%. This is definitely a film I'm going to be adding to my collection at some point. Question 2, do I recommend it for you guys? I really, really do. And not just for, like, you know, the award season enthusiasts. This is one of those films which I think everybody can connect with on some level, because it's just a really lovely story about family and loss and art. It's somehow a story which is very simple when you cut down to the bedrock, but it really is so complex in how it explores those family dynamics. It really is such a human story told so well, and the acting is sublime as well. Honestly, I do recommend checking out. It is absolutely worth watching in a cinema. Take your partner, take your friends, take your parents even. Like, there's something in here for everyone. And third question, what score to give out of 10? I still think I prefer The Worst Person in the World a little bit more, but Sentimental Value is still an exceptional film and will probably be in my top 10 favorite movies of the year. So yeah, I'm going to give Sentimental Value a score of 9 out of 10. But as always, guys, it is just one book's opinion. I would love to hear your thoughts on Sentimental Value. Are you excited for it? Have you seen it? If you have, what do you make of this movie? Did it speak to you in a particular way? Whatever you have to say, let your voice be heard in the comment section down below. If you've enjoyed the video, help me out with a little thumbs up button. If you want more movie, TV, and Oscars-related content, don't forget to click that subscribe button. And if you want to follow me on any of my socials, all those links are in that video description down below. Don't have my popcorn here with me to throw it today, guys, but I will sign off the old-fashioned way. For more things related to movies, TV, the Oscars, and popcorn culture, I'm Luke Harefield, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!